Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our Paws on Netflix podcast.
Today we're covering a fairly new animated series from Craig McCraken,
Kid Cosmic.
Ba 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 ba.
This series follows Kid, yes, that's his name for the series, as he discovers 5 stones from space that give the users powers. So, he bands his friends together to create his own superhero team and protect his town.
And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
Yes, this is so exciting.
Yes. We saw this come
Craig
up.
McCraken is back.
Yes, finally. Now, we did not know he was behind this project at first because we just kind of saw it come up on Netflix as something coming soon to the service.
Mm-hmm.
And the trailer looked kind of fun. It's all with superheroes, of course we added.
Right.
And then we actually added, and when it finally came available, we saw that Craig McCraken created it. And we hadn't seen him do anything since Wander Over Yonder. So this was great for us to see on here finally.
Yes.
And we saw the first episode. We weren't sure about it because it was so different from what we usually see, so different from what he usually writes. So it took like 3 episodes for us to get into it because it was so jarring seeing a lot of stuff happen in one time.
But I have to say that from the first episode, you have to love Kid.
Mm-hmm.
You really do. And you get drawn into his world
Mm-hmm.
and how he is before he finds the stones and then after. And yeah, you couldn't help but like him in the beginning.
And you end up liking pretty much all the characters
Yes.
they have on there. And in a rare...
Tom Kenny.
Yes, Tom Kenny's in it! Yes, Tom Kenny's in it before we get to the voice actors. All the characters are pretty likable that he wants you to like. And the villains are villains, and though you kind of get the different scales by the time it gets towards the end of the first season.
Mm-hmm.
And for here, it's like a rare occurrence where there wasn't some idiot character.
Yes.
This was the first time in years we had seen an animated show made here, and there wasn't some dim-witted character. Everyone has some level of intelligence, even the cat.
Oh,
So the other characters...
tuna sandwich.
Yes, the cat. They got other characters. They got his cat, tuna sandwich. It's pretty much his pet. And you find a little backstory about him. You have his grandfather, he calls Papa G. You have his friend Joe, works at a local diner.
Her mom.
And
that
then
they
you,
own.
right, and then you have Rosa, who's this little girl that's one of his neighbors, and she ends up getting one of the stones in a later episode.
Yes. It's really an enduring series, first of all, because the animation reminds you of 80s cartoons. It's
Yes.
done in an older style, but it works. It absolutely works, and there's a wholesomeness to it. There's no other way to put it. It's friendly. It's retrospective.
Yes.
It's engaging. It's fun. It's got lessons that are within this show, but they're not in your face and they're not preachy.
Right.
But the lessons get across. It's just classic, perfect Craig McCraken.
Right. And when they have a little darker situation, like, of course, there's a lot of action here and intensity, but it's not so much where it's like, okay, this is starting to stray off into being something dark.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell by the time the season ends, it's not going to get darker, it's just going to get bigger and more fun. And people were kind of concerned about that, so, you know, this pattern now is season 1 is fun, season 2 is dark with lore and complexity and stuff, and it kind of has become run-of-the-mill now.
But the good thing is, and we follow him on Twitter, and he did post that he has control in this series.
Right.
Unlike he didn't have in other series he's
Right.
done, and he also lost the rights to
Right,
those.
the Powerpuff Girls
Right.
and Wander and stuff, and he couldn't continue his story.
Right, but in this one, the rights are with Netflix, but he has control over the content and what is done.
Right.
So we expect it to be as awesome the second season as it is
Right.
the first.
And this season 1 is 10 episodes, and there is a second season coming. You kind of pretty much get it at the end of the first season, and it's not like, oh, well, we advertised the season, but it's not really coming or something like that, and Netflix seems to do a lot. You know it's coming, so you can rest assured you watch this and not get so invested and it's all of a sudden gone. There is more content coming.
And we love Netflix. And this is one of those reasons we're always saying we love Netflix. Or I love Netflix.
Right.
Because he hasn't had a series in a while. And Netflix gives so many opportunities to so many artists. You know, well-known, huge, just starting, so many people get a chance on Netflix, and we are so grateful for Netflix that Craig McCraken has another series. I'm just going to say Craig after this and stop saying his whole name.
Okay.
That Craig has another series.
Right. And all 10 episodes are fantastic, and just the short amount of episodes you get, there's a lot of story, a lot of character development, a lot of fun and laughs, really clever jokes.
And it's so cohesive.
Right. It doesn't feel like he's trying to rush in a bunch of things that should have been expanded for longer episodes or arcs. Everything perfectly fit into the 10 episode style. And by the time you get to the end, things do escalate because you get some twists and turns here and there. We don't want to spoil all things that happen, but the main thing in here is that it's supposed to be an alien invasion. Tom Kenny voices this alien who they just call Stuck Chuck or just Chuck. They even got voice actors from One Over Yonder in here too. We gotta mention that Fred Tatasciore, Tom Kenny, April Winchell, and I think one other person. And it's supposed to be alien invasion, and his supreme leader, I guess, supposed to be the Lord Hater of this show.
Right.
Is supposed to come in and wants the stones for himself. So Kid puts together his team, which is pretty much his friends, and they training to protect their
His
town.
crack team.
Yeah, and they're training. They find out little aliens every now and then to protect their town, so they can face off against the alien when he arrives. And it's really fun because all the characters really work well together. There's never a sense of this character doesn't work or this character's an idiot. There's never like any tropey characters in here. You get one fits a certain aspect, but none of them feel like they're just there to be that particular one, so it's easy to write. Everyone feels like a real character.
And another thing in addition is that no character seems to be overshadowed by another.
Right.
Somehow, some way, everyone throughout this series ends up getting the same amount of attention.
Right.
It's incredible how it's balanced.
Even Tuna Sandwich got pretty much his own episodes in here. You got the backstory, you got his little personality and everything, and he didn't even talk. And you got like how he became friends with Kid and why he was so attached to I love it. and each stone has this power, so when he got his little stone, he could have foresight, so he knew when he was going to be in danger. He was trying to rush to him. He could always see the future.
And he has the red stone.
Yeah.
Which means he has the attitude.
Right. It's like, and then you can
Voltron.
Yes. And the show, you can tell there's so much Voltron in it. He have been binge watching Voltron because there's so much of that in here.
Yeah.
They even have a minor character named Zarkon. And he's just little itty bitty green alien that thinks he's bad, but he's not. And it's like, did they really do this? The other stones, Kid has a green one, which is supposed to be fire, but you found out has another power later. Papa G has, they call him multiplication, and they call him the multiplying old man. Joe has the purple stone, which allows little portals to be transported different places. There's Tuna Sandwich has foresight, and then Rosa has where she can make herself grow large.
Rosa Gigantica.
Yes.
It is so much fun to watch it. You are almost disappointed that the episode's end because you're watching and you're into it, and all of a sudden it's like credits and you're like, it's over already.
Yeah.
And you wish the episodes were longer, and you can see that there is enough content and enough entertainment that every episode could have been longer.
Right.
Maybe we'll get lucky, and even if it's like 5 minutes longer, it would be exciting for each episode to be longer.
Right. And of course the music is really catchy. It's done by Andy Bean, who also does the music for One Over Yonder, so it's sort of this ba-ba-ba-ba-ba theme it's got like in the other show. So the theme song and the soundtrack is all catchy. There's no really big theme song in here. You just kind of get it like in parts of it, and it has that sort of rhythm due to I think it was supposed to be 70s or 60s music. It was on records.
Yes.
Yeah, those type of
varying. Yeah.
Right, that he was listening to. So that's pretty much the theme for here, and it doesn't even feel dated. You can tell it's not supposed to be incredibly modern, but it doesn't feel dated at any point because it stays away from doing all the trends of other superhero shows.
And that's another reason it's endearing for us, is simplicity. Again, it reminds me of things like okay, let me think of movies. Some 80s movies like Goonies and Stand By Me, and those type of movies were a slice of life. And just in here, it happens to have built in it some excitement, some sci-fi, some comedy.
Right.
But it's very simplistic, but wonderfully simplistic.
Right.
It's It's big, but it's not big.
Right.
And you're just comfortable watching it, and you really get used to the characters quickly. We did watch 3 episodes, as you said, to fully get engaged, but by episode 2, you really had a handle on the characters. You really kind of got their personalities. You knew that this was not going to be something grandiose and grandstanding, but simple in the delivery, and it works.
Right. And one more thing definitely have to bring up is the interactions between the characters. Like you said, everyone has attention, and even if it's not a whole focused episode, everyone has just prove that they're useful. And
by the time you're done with the series, you realize everybody got time. Everybody got focus.
Right.
Wow, we got backstory.
Right.
It's all built
and
in.
they even show you what happened with Kid. You kind of wonder why is he with his grandfather. They show you briefly because it's not, unfortunately, it's not a good thing that happens on why he's there. So he doesn't put a lot of focus on it. You kind of get like 2 instances of what happened and then they're done. It's not something like Disney does and harp on it for the emotional grab or anything. It's just like, okay, this is what happened, that's why he's here, and the story keeps going.
Right.
And you really love Papa G because unlike a lot of characters, he's not just oblivious to things that happens. He's aware of it and he's involved all the time. He really has kids' best interest at heart. He wants to help no matter what. And they even like foreshadow some things for him to come for season 2. So he's almost a little bit like a more friendly version of Grandpa Max.
Yes, definitely.
With the design of Wanda for some reason.
So, it's on Netflix still. And as we mentioned, it's 10 episodes. If you haven't seen this show, you really need to take a look. Especially if you're a fan of Craig McCraken. If you're a fan of Powerpuff Girls. And
Fosters and Wander Over Yonder.
And you love his style. Not only of the animation style that he has to accompany his stories, but if you just love the characters and his previous shows, you're really going to love Kid Cosmic. You really are.
Yes.
And you're going to love hearing, as we mentioned, voice actors you're familiar with. You're going to love Tom Kenny in this.
Yes!
You're going to absolutely love him in this. He is fantastic, as he always is. Actually, the entire cast is fantastic. And you're going to get nostalgic, because somehow it makes you nostalgic. Even, I think, again, because of the simplicity of it, how you can tell it's in an earlier style. It's supposed to remind you of an earlier time. The music, no matter what your age, it's going to make you nostalgic for your childhood.
Right.
And for fun, and for imagination, for possibilities. All of it is conveyed within this series, and it's just wonderful.
Yes.
So, if you haven't seen it, go to Netflix, give it a watch. If you have seen it, let us know what you think in the comments below. And be sure to stay tuned for watching season 2, which will also do a podcast.
Yes. And be sure to like, subscribe, and notification will take updates on future podcasts and more to pause videos.
And lastly, go on Twitter, go to and give Craig McCraken a post after you watch it, letting him know how awesome it is. He loves to hear comments, he loves to hear feedback, and he's always posting, talk to him, let him know.
Right.
So be sure to do that as well. And don't forget to follow Paws while you're there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Met her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to